What's up, guys? I was just kind of thinking about how Punarvasu is a yoni consort of Ashlesha, but also in terms of the serpent and the Nagas and Vasuki, the entire idea of Enki and Anki and the L of the E and the L of the Chronos time that castrated the THEE. Using the dot to the drop of the Uranian blood and just everything that castrated the world of forms into matter, the mirror of Hermia, the Revati Piscean Sea, the mermaid astrological dives within me. So I was just kind of thinking about what was I saying? So yeah, I was just kind of thinking about like the Artemis Aditi divisive diva notion of a Devatara and an Avatara and all of these like V's and N's that are threaded through and flipped on its head and turned against you a la Venus Drishti gaze, a la contracted Rahu. I think I had a graphic one time where Saturn was kind of catching the gaze of Uranus in this weird hexagrammic polar way. And I just like, I don't know what that means yet, but also like the way the CD and the tree symbolism and the way Uranus has this revelatory, revolutionary projection, reflection, cutting through type of sonic, and then Saturn is this more horizontal and um spread out and dispersed and only catching towards like a single point type of resonance sonic. And it just made me think of like transcribing music onto stuff, or like crystal light technologies and things like that. I don't know. And like, antennas and receptacles and dispersals and things like that. um so yeah, the whole idea of thinking of ourselves in a more electromagnetic, murmured, watery, deep world, of being more akin to our nervous systems, depictions, and all of that, and the physical world is the gold, the prakriti that is churned out of this physicality that we sing and braid into existence with our eye and our voice and all of that, linking in the liminal through the luminal and the lumescence, the gold and the silver, the intoxicant and the excrement, the soma and the amrita, the cosmic mounds and the pleromic principles that find their abodes in them, a la the nakshatras or the stars or the fallen stars or the, like all the letters and stuff that we just kind of see. It's very, very funny. If we think about how sophisticated technology has gotten and how the movies are always trying to project this past yet future timeline of stuff, it's never like in the present, it's always harkening back to all these other Easter eggs and predictive programming for something that we will see years down the line as like Now we have like a get out reference in our matrix, right? Um, so it's very interesting, like just everything that I've been thinking about inverted serpent fire, pyramid schemes, inverted eye of Ra's, Mariahs, singers, actors, those who represent the ideals of masculinity and femininity in the notion that they are divinely androgynous and therefore somehow like just equally containing of male and female Shakti. And it's like we have this notion that they have all this wealth and beauty and prosperity because they've just somehow been able to do this alchemy, and it was like transmigratory soul alchemy that finally like comes into form, like the whole divine backstories of like these avatars and kelpies and foaming Aphrodites, but then it might be an Asura. If you flip the cipher of the moon, you are going to like sin against the words with the meaning of your eye you consent to by thinking I am this and I am that, and they're not seeing like all the color codes that you speak and manifest, when we know that they tell us like the lyrics play it backwards, or they mirror image the images, or it's very Da Vinci Code artworks, decoded thinking going through my brain now. And yeah, like this hidden above and below, and this whole Baphometic thing, and the inverted Christ versus the true Christ, and then the one side has more, chiaroscuro, it's more dark. And it just made me think of like the Rashad Jamal meets Avatar through a movie inversion of us that need to get out of the black matrix and the mermaid water symbolism of the globe of a Neptunian reality fairy tale, and be like, no, we are just in the deep, and we manifest these black, luminous, all light, incandescent, non-refractive, wholesome, etheric bodies, and then it's like the shimmers and reflections of that aura is what becomes the Urania Asterian castrati of the pleromic world of forms, and it's like the world which Sag can see as esoteric earth. It's the world of forms, it's the world of that stage of archetypes being sung into existence, being birthed. But, like the way we most likely brought up our own lands and islands and things like that through placenta magic, and maybe that was what our true burial rites were about in the past, whereas now it's been inverted through this death cult situation because they have been cut off from the cup and the Christos and all of that, and like they create this Rahu Ketu vacuum to their crown so that they have an ego, because we give them all these identities, all these marred eye of AH, so that they can hurt themselves as a carrying frequency of their own butterfly effect coming through their voice, a la Athena, Prometheus, Bernoulli, throw Taurus chain to the rock, throw a nodule pile up. The old Jupiter, Saturn, Isis, Velikovsky stuff that I'm trying to. It's so much reading, guys, and Every time I tell myself, okay, you're gonna like open up that uh, little compendium of notes, I just like, I'm just gonna like think about it, and then I'm gonna like tell you guys what I just like thought about. Because sometimes I feel like, even listening to my videos back, there are things that I say that almost like it's like my language, like what I would have thought in my one Virgo edit mode through the Mars and the whole carving out of a reality in that moment. Um, I thought it meant one thing and that it sounded like this or like that, and then when I come back to it with like a fresh ear and I see my backgrounds and I see just like the word plays go off in a kaleidoscope of things that I am saying, even though like I can still hear myself like losing my train of thought in a way that I can like remember, oh, then I felt like this and I felt a little nervous there, this, that, and whatever. But yeah, everything about like Libra, the adrenal hormones, and everything that inverted thing that we discussed about the chimeric notion of a cornucopia and a golden phallus and a pyramid, pyramid, fire, raw, amid, and everything that we discussed just about the Kronos, Saturn, fire, and the water, Mercury, which I feel like the golden key and the silver key of not all those who wander really kind of clued me in onto like seeing the waters of life and the fires of life and the frost giants and the fire giants of it all. And the gap of Kanungagat and these abysses and second atoms and male and female created themes, and all of those little gender readings that I now have for the Bible and different sources, and like now that I see the color coding in the words that are like positive, negative, neutral, red shift, blue shift, purple shift, you know, like in the beginning, in the beginning, in the beginning, I didn't really like have the tapestry that I can fly now, because I've rescued the genie from the cave or the princess eponymously on the same frequency wave, because yeah, did the genie lead Aladdin to the princess? Like, it's also inverted, right? Like, your genie in a lamp is your golden phallus, you know? It's the golden ratio of all of you that comes out of there, like, quite literally. Your Shukra Dhatu, your most sensitive nerves, your most delicate epitheliums, your most fine veins, like the hormones and different little, I don't think it's enzymes, but hormones are akin to enzymes because they are also catalysts. And they are essentially based on, well, there's homeostasis, and homeostasis has a negative feedback loop. And yeah, so I'm just thinking of like the fact that we need to like have a inverted negative feedback loop that we need to like neutralize ourselves towards with like this idol worship in the context of a positive feedback loop. And then it just made me think of like, how did they castrati us and castrat our eye and when we want to be those images and likenesses, the extents we will go to. We see what social media and just the old Kardashian craze, or like I remember back in the day, like people wanted to look like Angelina Jolie, and all of that has been culminating the way YouTube has kind of like been culminating as a mirror to my life as well. Even with like when I really decided to tap into myself, it was like through information and just thinking of the word inform. It's the eye of Rahu and the Neptune of like a Leo Virgo inning, threading, Ving, Horusing, yoning, tarrowing, threading, carpeting. Do you guys hear it? Like it's so sexual. It's like a thousand ways to have like Kama Sutra poetry in different languages, and you call it English. Because somehow like English is this like veneer that like goes into like the key lake of all the other languages. And it happens very Swaristanally in the way like these words kind of like churned your prakriti from the niriti because they separated you into your light and your darkness. They gave you contrast, they gave you Shatabishak, they gave you the gaze of Rahu, the public Capricorn, ascent notion, all this ascension talk that New Age is talking about, everybody doing yoga poses to like create these inverted triangles of themselves unknowingly, and sometimes knowingly, because I don't know who figures out along the way what I figured out when all I have are like my sources of self-reflection, i.e. the moments in which I was confronted with information to which my body could ring mentally through, emotionally through, and just through on all the levels that I felt it. It gave me renewal of meaning because, certain truths, they don't take away from anything else. And they add to the moreness, and they divide everything into a new and a better and improved wholeness in this weird way that isn't that altar of worship, idolatry, caffing, like just caffering. Like there's just so much like I'm just thinking of like what was braided out of our DNA light curves, like out of our mitochondrial Henrietta Lacks and Eves and Whitney Mariah Celine, Smelly Seas, all of these notions that gave us like these Libran spears of destiny, divine androgynes, because they like are this spear of your opposite that just like breaks the mirror back into you. And yeah, it's like nobody is like at fault, like you just see what you want to see. And it's not like they aren't doing the technology and the illusion and the mind fuckery and the word fuckery and the just outright crimes, but it's like it's like this, let's be more ethical and more elite and more economic and just like do it so much more viciously but so much more softly notion to like always repeating this castration of Uranus ritual and then like building that into like the Promethean unbound tragedy that is like all of these butterflies becoming Athenas, and then we all owl and watch them as these goddesses of wisdom projected from the Kuru and the Most High Jupiter who put Saturn in Tartarus, and the sick owl of the eye of generation in imagination has been Isis, and it's just all so discombobulating. Everybody, my name is Kalen. I am the key keeper, and today I want to talk about word plays, irony, and satire as it relates to everything that we have been deciphering about words that are siphoning to these idols and inverted altars of quote unquote divine androgynes, but are actually alchemical crucibles in a very modern recapitulations of the very humanist Shutter Bishop narrations. And so when they even talk about an MK Ultra, it's like a mountain mirror, like it's a mountainous mirror reflection of the waters of the deep and all of that, right? Like the whole Capricorn being yoga karated by Venus to produce form, as Libra is its 10th house position exalting Saturn. Just everything that we can do on our cipher thus far, putting these different ascendants into rising signs. So it's basically a code for them to see what they can get out of you, literally like that movie, and figuratively in A Thousand Ways to Die, because what they are doing as a death cult essentially then would be to trick you towards this ideal, and we see ideal is the IDEAL. So there is like a castration of your manifestation, like your true manifestation, whenever you are being Medusa gazed a la Athena through a Neptunian subation, because it's all kind of like these like oils of Christos and smelly fishing and fishy smells and all the sexual symbolisms of the castrated owls and how they devour their children a la pedophiles, and the heel of the Aki owls and the Michaels and the angels and just the Jalatattva, Artemisia, Punarvasu, Prakriti Neriti split of the Baphomet into this culprit. And oh, do you guys hear the rain? Do you love the rain? Comment down below. I love the rain. I've just kind of like been waiting for my thought of the day to kind of like seminate, and yeah, so like in continuation of our learning of esoteric knowledge, I feel like once again I received a key when I was ready, and because of the wholeness of remembering things, and actually like if you saw in the community post, the occultist Lux library link of information, I have been so just inundated with inspiration to use it, right? And obviously, just in terms of the spiritual journey of the subconscious clearing and being at Pyoki's Lake, and me trying to refract the facets of myself to show you a mirror of yourself and the M and the W of my whole man, woman. I'm a man and I'm a woman in that divine, undivine way that is not going to be quote unquote turned against me by the Shatabishak Rahu gaze of the 11 to my actual meaning of the K's. And so the calf of my Taurus field and the butterfly effect and the binoli of my voice and the rainbow it refracts and the serpent of Ashlesha and me getting so deep with everything that I say, it's like I sing when I speak. You know, when I listen back upon the things that I say, it is very much like it was all supposed to be wrapped that way. And the stream of consciousness is ever within flow because within myself I have learned to never let go. And even last night, right, when I was able to just simultaneously alter myself and devote myself to using my voice and the film and the analog of the analogous capturing of the projection within my reflection of self and the whole mermaid spirit of myself and the love of myself and the true Shakti and the Shiva and the words that are co-opted that I'm stealing right the fuck back and I'm fucking myself over with it and I'm hippocampally pineal just riding everything that is just because I am so just tired because what I thought would inspire me drained me and it took energy away from me in ways I couldn't see, but I saw it because I felt and I remembered what I held and being told to disown it and to claim it not as me. And then in the Mariah Carey I can see the Maud Rhea of he who tried to be a castrato and use his voice to sing high, and now I have nodules and certain notes have said goodbye. And this castrated image of my Saturn tropical Barani, taking it back to the Pisces of the Revati Yoni elephant memory of just my Ani and my Anima and my Animu and my Uranus and the golden ass fool and the fact that I got penetrated and the fact that I came to and all the above and all the below, the psychosexual alchemy of a hoe, Aditi poetry, Artemis split, the Punarvasi beast of the cat Yoni Merit, and I felt the vibration of the sapiosexual owl, and I felt Mariah Carey take me to hell. She was the songbird supreme, but she was not in my being. I couldn't be her because she was not being mean. The golden phallus of what I tried to penetrate was the hippocampus to which I could light my own weight. The stream of consciousness by which I now cautiously flow is the gene key 12 that they stole from all of y'all. And the Yule tides of the whirlpool and the swirl and everything analogous to this and your world. Be that as it may you find yourself as I have came to by being this elf. I always wondered why Jewish notions of circumcision and castration of an owl was a flip of a Allah circumcision, and just like a different buried mutilation as it relates to like prostrating yourself. It's like the prayer and stuff, it's very Capricorn in the glyphs. And like why the neutral or the middle ground would be like I have Christed myself or like apatheist or you know the Western Christianity movement of that. I almost want to say neutral of the tower. and the negative and the sun and the moon and the tetragrammaton, and that's the Jewish side, and then the pentagram, positive, pen, penis, Allah, Arabian, everything we know about the birth of Renaissance through Arabian scholarly translation of ancient Greek, and all of those curlicues of that language as a cryptid to the Sanskrit and just what it means for me, like the South African also Ugarit, because all the like yugas and the golden riti of the Amrita, it seems to always come out of like this black horse, Nelson of a mandala, and it's like, what did they flip onto us with like that stag on the amygdala riding the waves of freedom? That is still maybe like this cube in a box because it's a 9 and it's a 6 and it's a this and it's a that, and it's all these colors of the Rubik's Cube, like if you saw that moon Rubik's Cube little cipher, and it's like this peacock kaleidoscope that like the drishti gaze looks at you when all the notes and letters are being sung to you, and the technology is performing the enchanting Rahu, grasping cold gaze of the demonic Satori, Saturnian, satire, satanic maritime admiralty, Sekhmet rage, the car island building of placenta magic, of all of these mermaids within your oceanic, inflamed in this inverted MK Ultra butterfly with Athena and Prometheus. Mankind was afraid. It's all art is Machia, art and Machia, Hypatia, mermaid speak, serpent of the deep, rainbow coloring, all Rashid, Jamal, tooth of the id and the chimeric it. What's up, guys? I am still just trying to like channel this beastly chimeric notion of a mermaid spirit, Capricorn, Baphomet, potion, and it's very Ursula and Ariel, and it's very get out, and it's very she creatures, and it's very divine androgynes, very Geblut Oshuna Batala, it's very split of the Adam Cadmon into the Lilith, Eve, Samael, triplicity of what the god took from the rib by, what he did in terms of the V and the N, threading it back together again, the split of the cosmic egg, the wholeness that was you, and the way that cipher created a W, right? So what do you wish for? This perfect whole form, you want a twin flame, you want to be reborn, and all these things that they have turned into a religion as ideals. Oh my gosh, my family was playing Whitney Houston songs now, and like, don't make me close one more door, I don't want to hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare, or must I imagine you there? Don't walk away from me. And just the whole idea of the night and the marring of the black and the onyx of the Ben stone and the galactic center and the Serpentarius and the real big energy a la Rashad Jamal. That, yeah, I make fun of the just racial fetishes that I have also had. But I have to ask myself, as a mixed race person, why was I divided? And it's not even about race. It's about like the use of being human, right? one time in my aunt's church, they asked us, and there was a very skeptical German woman there, Adriana. I think I started telling the story, but I didn't finish it. I got lost again on how she looked so much like Lara Croft. Um, but yeah, she took me to her mansion. She showed me her artwork. She showed me what an Uttarabhadrapadian castle was, because she was a Cinderella bride. Her husband had been in a tragic accident, and she was seeing, um, and he had, been in a coma and stuff, and she was seeking religion at that crisis point. And when he died, she left their church, which, like, it just all made me think, right? Like my aunt, the waterfront, the pushier of my aunt, she's very plump, right? All that Jupiter energy that she allows to grow in this unrestricted, I call it in, I hold it in, I'm like anal retentive and seminally retentive, and like that's what got me thinking of like the Jewish don't masturbate and the Allah prostrations of keeping yourself clean back there and all of these things. And then like the Christian is in the middle of like sex is evil, masturbation is evil, anal sex is evil, oral sex is evil. Like you can't use any orifice, you can't use any beast, you can't use any image or likeness, the whole holiest of holies of this neutral thing, right? And then the pagans are supposedly this, and the Orthodox or Reformationists or Lutherans, which just sounds very Slytherin to the whole Harry Potter of this Voldemort world of magical wands in Hollywood. And all the stories, it's like the way Clay Naki found the typecasting and the stories and the double initiation rituals and the divine androgyne alchemical harkening back in these movies and stuff. It really just like shows me like they've put this ideology everywhere. It's like they took the ciphers that like Formscapes and Slick Dissident and various other grimoires, and like it's like they took these things and like it was all kind of like a for the time that it was penned, it was like the rising side of that moment, right? So in time, it will always like give rise to that as an ascendant of this fractal. So every time it is read again, it is recapitulated, it is reprojected, it is more loaded seminal energy being put into these words. They come through again through the waters of life. Water has memory. Holy Spirit activation when you invoke through these secret and inverted techniques of manifestation that basically channels your energy towards like these altars of them, or like the way black people see a white Christ in their prayers, and it makes them feel very disconcerted, because the concerto of all the selves within selves, there's like this divide. That horse has been cut into black and white, and tall and short, and how long is this stallion's endurance and speed, and what is its pedigree and pedestal, and it's all just this big gambling thing, and this big eugenics, golden genes, genesis of Isis, like generating golden androgynes, the diva of the divines, the divide of the gold from the silver, from the Mercury that is the equals in between, because the Mercury and the Mermaid spirit and the consciousness is what can go through all of those lakes of keys within the serene. And if you think of why they create the arts and the Shatabishakir, Skiro, Alaklay Nati, Rahu, gazes of Medusa, even the way Angelina Jolie had a Medusa Starbucks type of logo on that yellowy shirt that I mentioned when I drew her hips very boyishly. So yeah, I'm just kind of like going through my content and seeing like the gaps that were kind of like cut out of my mind in terms of just like, yeah, all the homages and all the split personalities of like, I need to keep this aspect of them into consideration. I need to remember this person defeated that. I need to remember this person was cancelled, or this person was gaslit or crazy made or ritually trialed, like, and even what my subscriber and her playlist recapitulated, it was just like her comment made sense to me in the whole vibrational frequency of us finding each other and how she could listen to me and just feel like a true wholeness of putting it all together using your imagination. Like she described it as a workout. And I think it's because we've been so pacified within our Rohini, soma castration, a la the Jay-Z's of this, like putting us to sleep in the ocean.
Can you actually hear anyone who is listening? Can you hear any difference between all these sounds on the one hand and yourself on the other?
Now, when you were thus absorbed in sound, where were you? This would be called a state of consciousness, where we have a primitive form of samadhi. That is to say, we are happily absorbed in what we are doing, and we have forgotten about ourselves. You can't very well do that and worry. Or think anything serious. And you'll notice that there's a special way of doing it. Because, we can go crazy, and we can do kind of the wild Indian chants. But in this, you are sort of straining too much as a rule, see? If you keep it down to a soft thing like this, and get the floating feeling of the voice, if you instantly you feel any sound is uncomfortable, avoid it. Slip down if you're going too high. Slip up if you're getting too low. If your voice tends to change, follow its change. So that you're just swinging along with it. This is the point of why, from ancient times, people discovered humming and singing, and everybody used to sing while they worked. But you will notice that today, very few people sing at all. You have to make a thing of it. People are afraid of their voices. Their melodic voice is distinct from the spoken voice. I know an enormous number of people who never sing at all. Why is it that when the scriptures, the Upanishads, the sutras, are read, they are invariably chanted? Because an extra dimension is added to the voice as soon as you bring a note into it. That's the divine element, you see, the note sound, the singing sound, symbolically speaking. So, this is a form of what I would call free mantra chanting, like we did it then, which isn't used much. But it does give you, as you do it, a very good idea of what the meditative state is. Because it isn't just the letting happen, only the things going on around, that's inside you as well. As distinct from the prescribed mantra, like Om Mani Padme Hum, or Om Ah Hum, or Om Ram Shri Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, etc. Each one of them has a different feeling to it. The Tibetan monks go down to an extraordinarily deep sound. They go as deep as you can get. There is a reason for this. It's very difficult to explain, because you have to do it. But when you go down into sound as deeply as you can get, you're going to an extreme of the vibration. And everybody feels naturally that what is deep is sort of the underpinnings, the foundation. And when they go into that deep sound, they are literally exploring the depths of sound. As we say, go into it deeply. But you can very readily see, once you get into that you're in another state of consciousness altogether. You're not anymore in fidgety, chattering to your skull every day consciousness. What I call normal restlessness. But in this way, you get a sensuous feeling of the breath, that it's very enjoyable to breathe. And then you will find this will help in the quality of the sound you produce. And we, of course, have to get away from some of our musical prejudices when we do this. Now, I know, I'm sorry, but everybody thinks that to spend a lot of time gently humming nonsense to yourself is a waste of time. What are you going to do with the time that you save? You know? But the point, though, is with all this, the first thing we have to understand is what I will call deep listening. And very few people ever really listen. Because instead of receiving the sound, they make comments on it all the time. They're thinking about it. And so the sound is never fully heard. You just have to let it take over. Let it take you over completely. Then you get the samadhi state of becoming it. And it also means that you abandon your socially nervous personality. Where one of the reasons why people don't sing is that they hear so many masters on records and they're ashamed of their own voices and think there's no point singing unless I'm good at it. Well, that's like saying there's no point my doing anything at all unless I'm particularly gifted at it, which is ridiculous. But singing is of course very good for you, but we won't mention that, because it brings in too much purposiveness into it. And but it's like a child will make noises because of the absorbing interest of making noises. The child will make all sorts of see? To explore the possibilities of what you can do with a voice. See? You don't see adults going around it. They'll all be shy.
Only our more.
Let's go. See? That's fun. But all this perfectly incorporable with meditation. It embarrasses the hell out of some people. I said, what are you laughing at? No, I don't see any point in laughing at something funny. I had a friend who was a theological student. He was very fat. And he used to sit on the elevated train that went from Evanston into Chicago. There were seats right down the side of the train, so he'd sit in the middle of one side, and everybody in the car could see him. The fat fellow was sitting to get on at Evanston. He'd sit there.